Hello and welcome to the VickyCharles.com podcast for those of us who need just a little help with our blogging and social media. The show notes for this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And at the moment I'm giving out free social media tips. Just go to VickyCharles.com/social-tips and fill in your details, and then I'll email you 3 personalised action points for your social media. You can also sign up there for my mailing list. This week's episode, number 55, is 10 ways to prepare for the new Instagram algorithm. So welcome to episode number 55 of the VickyCharles.com podcast. This week's episode follows on from last week when I was talking about the new Instagram algorithm and what it means for us as bloggers and content creators. It is not in yet. It has not been rolled out anywhere as far as I know. People have said, it's being rolled out and it'll be here soon, but no, they said over the coming months we will start to roll it out, and it hasn't come out as yet. I don't know anybody who has the new algorithm on their timeline. So far as I know, everybody is still in chronological order and there's no need to panic, as I said last week. That said, now is the time to start preparing by building up your engagement. So to this week's podcast is 10 ways to do that, to start preparing for the new Instagram algorithm. And my first tip is not really a way to prepare, it's just a way to stop people from unfollowing you. Do not beg people to turn on notifications. I don't know anybody who has gone, oh gosh, yes, I'm going to turn on notifications for all of the 4,000 people I follow. I have notifications for one person and one person only, and that's because that person doesn't update very often. I'm talking maybe once a week, and I'm very interested to see what they say. And obviously, when you follow a few thousand people, algorithm or no algorithm, you're not going to see one post a week. So I opted to turn on notifications for that person. Everybody else, get lost, to be honest. If I see a post, I see it, and if I don't, I don't. And I don't much care. There's nobody that I'm that desperate to see what they're going on with. That sounds really harsh, but the fact of the matter is that assuming you're not aiming your content at other bloggers, assuming you're aiming it at a wider audience than just bloggers or just people within your niche, then that is the attitude they're going to have. Scroll. They don't know who you are specifically, and they don't much care. So just don't beg them to turn on notifications, especially if you update once a day. Nobody wants to get notifications on their phone to say that you've updated, especially if they go in and it's a picture of your dog or a picture of your kid, or a picture of your breakfast. Like, oh, big wow, who cares? I don't think anybody wants to see that. Gosh, I'm really horrible today, don't I? Okay, tip number 2. Now is the time to start building your engagement. So I said at the beginning, it's time to prepare. It really is time to prepare in terms of building up engagement so that people are already used to seeing something they like. They're used to commenting. They're used to liking your posts. Now, you can use various things, which I'll go on to in the next step, but you can kind of have a look at which posts are popular and start posting more like that. So if you post a picture of your shoes one day and everybody goes, oh my gosh, your amazing shoes, and you've got 5 other pairs of shoes like that, then start posting more pictures of your shoes maybe. A lot of people then will say, Instagram's just for me, it's just for me to share photos of my children and blah blah, and that's fine. When I first started using Instagram, when my daughter was really, really small, I did it purely to edit photos. I didn't even realise, there wasn't really any sort of a community on Instagram when it first started. I just used it to edit photos, and the fact that the photos also posted on Instagram were just a byproduct. And it wasn't until I started to see that there was a kind of community and I was getting followers and I was following other people that I started to really try and kind of look at Instagram as a separate entity rather than just somewhere that you could edit your pictures nicely for Facebook. So it's worth trying to build that up now rather than suddenly have an algorithm come in and find that you're the bottom of the pile. Try and make yourself closer to the top of the pile now so that when the algorithm starts, it sees that you're already getting a lot of engagement, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, and that's what you need to work towards. My third tip for ways to prepare for the new Instagram algorithm is something called Iconosquare. Now, this used to be a free service, and a lot of it is still free, but if you want any stats or analytics at all, you have to pay for them now. Gasp! It is only $28 a year, which in English money is less than £28. I'm rubbish at maths and I don't know, but it's very cheap. And for that, you get all sorts of things. So it really analyzes your posts. It will tell you when was the best time to post. You can see which posts were the most popular. They send you a daily email that says, yesterday you lost this many followers, you gained this many followers. So in all, you're up 3 or you're down 2 or whatever. It shows you which of your posts were the most popular. So you can kind of see on a day-on-day basis without actually going into Iconosquare. You can see, oh, okay, well, that picture was popular and that was the most, but, what do they have in common, and try and work on that. So I find Iconosquare really useful in that respect, in terms of, seeing how my content is doing, see how I'm doing with followers and so on. Because it's not, when I look at my Instagram account, I don't look at how many followers I've got, or if I do, I go, all right, I don't kind of, unless I suddenly go over like 100 mark or 1,000 mark and I go, oh, that's cool, I don't know how many I'm gaining or losing each day. So it's useful to have an email come into my inbox that tells me that, basically. That in itself, I think, is worth $28 a year, and you get an awful lot more besides. It is really useful to have, and I would definitely recommend getting it. Like I said, there is a lot of stuff on the free service without the analytics. There's still a lot on there that you could probably use to see what's going on, and to see what, not your competitors, but what other people are doing as well. Tip number 4 for preparing for the new Instagram algorithm is to use the individual editing features rather than the preset filters. So what that basically means is, I know there's a whole thing on Instagram with people where some people say you should only use the same 2 or 3 filters, and some people say you should use all different ones. So the idea is, if you use all the same 2 or 3 filters on every photo, then your Instagram has a theme, and people can tell it's your picture. But I kind of think there are only so many themes, and there are like however many 100 million billion gajillion people on Instagram. They're probably all using the same filters. Therefore, your pictures, aside from the fact that it's a different face in the picture, it doesn't kind of look any different from the next guy who's using those same 3 filters. The other line of thinking is that you should use as many different filters as possible so that you've got some variety on your feed. I would say experiment with it, see what works for you, but kind of use the individual editing features. So when you're editing a picture, instead of choosing a filter, if you look above that, there's a line with 3 little icons, and if you choose the one on the right, I think it's a spanner icon, that'll take you in. You can adjust the brightness, you can do all sorts of crazy things to your pictures and make them look a lot more interesting. But you can also kind of really change like the brightness and things like that to really get it to exactly how you want it to look, rather than going for a preset filter. And things like that can make all the difference to a picture, especially if your picture had really bad lighting to start with. What I used to do was just go through the filters and see which one made it look less bad, but now you can really kind of go in and use the individual settings to make it look less bad, basically. My 5th tip for preparing for the Instagram algorithm is look at the settings on your phone for photos as well. So I got a new phone recently, and I think it's got more settings on it than my actual camera. It's got so much on it. Quite nicely for me, early in the mornings, there is a beauty setting. So when I'm doing selfies, it kind of, I don't know what the like technical term for it is, but it basically kind of whites out most of my face. So if I hold the camera in the right light, you can't see the bags under my eyes or the spots on my chin, or it does a brilliant job without you having to do any editing. So if you have a picture that is a really good quality before you take it to Instagram, there's less editing to do and it'll look more professional. I know a lot of people do use the proper camera and then upload the picture to Instagram, but I don't have time for that. I'm running a business. I run 2 Instagram accounts, and all the rest of it, all this other stuff that I do. I don't have time to take proper pictures on my camera and then upload them to Instagram. I understand that a lot of people do, and that's perfect. Absolutely, why shouldn't you? But for the rest of us, just kind of fiddle about with the settings on your phone. If you've got, some time to spare on a Saturday afternoon, fiddle about with it and experiment with how you can take different pictures with it and see what you can do. My number 6 tip for ways to prepare for the new Instagram algorithm is to be consistent with your overall content theme. So that doesn't mean always post pictures of your right foot or only ever post pictures of this, but kind of if you're so for me, my main Instagram account, my parent blogger, I mostly post pictures of my daughter. When somebody looks at my Instagram page, they can see, oh, this is a mum and she posts lots of pictures of her kid looking cute. It's obvious, and it's especially if you have a niche account, then people will come to expect the same sort of thing from you. So if you're posting a lot of fitness videos and fitness tips, and then one day you post a picture of your dog, people will unfollow you for that, because they're like, well, I came to see you for fitness tips, and if you're going to start posting pictures of dogs, if I want to see a picture of dog, I'd follow a dog account. So, bear that in mind. It doesn't mean that you must only ever post one thing, but kind of give your Instagram a theme as a whole in terms of what you're posting, and try to stick to that. Don't post any random weird stuff on it. So on my personal Instagram, Single Mother Ahoy, you're not going to see me posting pictures of stages at conventions or myself at an event. If I've got a speaking gig or something and I take a picture of the audience, which I do quite often because it's quite a good gimmick to go, look, I'm taking a picture of you and posting it on social media. I don't post that on my personal Instagram because that's completely nothing to do with my personal Instagram. I post it on my business Instagram because that, for me, is social proof on my business Instagram. I hope you understand what I mean with that because I'm struggling to explain. My 7th tip for preparing for the new Instagram algorithm is to experiment with theming your entire account. Now, I've just spoken about the overall content theme, but what I mean with this is theming your pictures and being really quite stylized with it. So one of my Facebook friends has actually themed his account so that all of his pictures are black and white now. And he says that he gets 50% more interaction from doing that. Now, some people might balk at that idea and think, all black and white, or, that doesn't allow for creativity if I want to put something in a bit different, if I'm only using, really blown out pictures or whatever. But, it's not for everybody, but for some of us, it's just something to think about, basically. If you want to experiment with theming your account, if you're going to have maybe always kind of turn up the brightness really high or change the saturation of the picture on every single picture, that, again, when somebody looks at your Instagram feed, it makes it very clear what you're doing, who you are, and what your pictures are going to look like, what they can expect from you. My 8th tip for preparing for the new Instagram algorithm is to use less popular hashtags. So, for example, I've talked about this before. If you open up Instagram on your phone right now and search for hashtag selfie, it will bring you up loads of pictures, and you might think, great, if I put hashtag selfie in my picture, then it will show on this, and this really popular hashtag, and loads of people will see it. That's where you'd be wrong, because if you now drag your screen down to refresh it, I guarantee you that when the pictures reload, there will be an entire page of new pictures, because so many people use that hashtag, it moves really quickly. Whereas if you use, I don't have an example, but if you use a hashtag that's not used as much, so it is used and it is active, but not as much, then you'll find that your picture has a longer lifespan on that page when people search for that particular hashtag. It's worth really, if you're going to go down the hashtag route, I keep forgetting on both of my accounts to use hashtags. I'm awful for it. But if you're going to start using hashtags on a regular basis, then kind of have a look at which of them, like the popular but not too popular. So not the ones that have got millions and millions of users already, the ones that are kind of, or quite niche, so a specific event or a specific day or something like that. So I always use, or I try to use in the mornings when I'm up early, I use hashtag miracle morning, because I know with that I'm going to hit the same sort of people who are up at 5:30 doing push-ups and things. Those are the people that would search that hashtag, and it's not an overly used one. It's not it's popular but not too popular. So that's a good example, I think. Also, a great tip that I picked up is to put your hashtags in a comment. So, especially if you're kind of cross-posting your pictures, I always cross-post to Facebook and Instagram because, to Facebook and Twitter, because, to be honest, like I said, I only set up my Instagram so that I could edit photos nicely for Facebook. So I still always do that. But when you cross-post, then your hashtags, even on Facebook, I know Facebook has hashtags now, but they haven't really caught on, and posts with hashtags don't do as well as posts without hashtags, generally speaking. So it just doesn't look right, and it's very obvious that you've cross-posted it and that it wasn't, original content for Facebook, and it doesn't look very nice. People don't react to it very well, blah, blah. So write your caption, "This is me on a boat, haha." Upload it to wherever you're going, and then go back into the picture and comment on it with as many hashtags as you like. I have a lady who I absolutely love, because every now and then she'll go into my pictures and just comment with a bunch of hashtags, which is great for me because then my pictures are suddenly getting seen by people, and she always knows really good hashtags that I don't know as well. So it's really useful for me, and I absolutely love her for it. It's brilliant. My 9th way to get ready for the new Instagram algorithm is to give people a reason to comment. Ask them a question, even if it's, is it just me? Or give them a reason to comment. So don't just expect that they're going to comment, that they're going to kind of go, oh, your face looks lovely today. And don't kind of be like what's the word? I don't know, like a comment whore for it with like, oh, do you think I look really ugly today? So that people will comment and say how great you are, because that will work precisely once. If that, and then people will just go, oh, for goodness sake. Attention whoring, that's the word. Anyway, so don't do that. But kind of go, I've got this table, what should I do with it? I've got these flowers, how do I arrange them? Or what goes well with this? Or how should I use that? What can I cook with this? Anything that makes people feel like they're helping you, they love. But also, if you say, which outfit do you think looks best? Anything like that, people will comment on it. Just to comment. If you ask them a question, they're more likely to comment, really, aren't they? My final 10th tip for preparing for the Instagram algorithm is one that I could have made an entire podcast for on its own, because it is that important. Longer video is coming to Instagram. It's already being rolled out to iOS users. Android, as usual, we have to wait, but that you're getting up to 60 seconds now, where previously we had 15 seconds. Why is that? It's because Instagram is owned by Facebook. Facebook is rolling out live video, and I really would not be surprised if Instagram started to do live video in one way or another within the next few months, if not, sooner. Because video is the way that everything's going now. Why would I read a big long thing that you've written if I can watch a video of somebody else telling me about it, and I can connect with them and look them in the eye and so on and so forth? Live video is coming. If you can't do live video, live video hasn't turned up on my Pages app yet, so I can't do live video, but kind of do video anyway. Because it's coming. So 60-second videos are the way forward. They're definitely coming. Start making use of video now. Video is more engaging. It is difficult with Instagram to get people to like your video, because they've already had to press the button to get the sound up. So sometimes it's always worth kind of putting thank you for liking this, just to remind people to go back and like it. But Instagram also now that it's owned by Facebook, it's got some of the same kind of functionality in it. It'll tell you how many times people have watched it, and that can be kind of useful as well. So you might not get as many likes, but if you talk about something interesting, or you have something interesting, you might get more comments than if you just posted a picture of it. I really do think that video is the next big thing. Although, video has been around for ages. It is, now they're moving it into Instagram. You never used to be able to do videos at all in Instagram when it first started. Then you could do 15 seconds. Now you've got like Boomerang and things like that, where you can do stop motion and you can do all kinds of things. And now they're looking at increasing the length of the videos. So really make use of that. Kind of be one of the first people to use it as much as you can, and make the most of it, because I really do think that, especially with Facebook now owning Instagram, we're going in the direction of live video. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen, and that is that. So those were my 10 ways to prepare for the new Instagram algorithm. Hopefully now you're not running around going, algorithm, like everybody was last week, but we'll see. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments or other tips that you'd like to share, do please leave a comment on the blog post or wherever else you've seen this. Thank you so much for listening to the VickyCharles.com podcast. The show notes for this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And don't forget that at the moment I'm giving out free social media tips. So if you go to VickyCharles.com/social-tips and fill in your details, I will email you 3 personalised action points for your social media. You can also tick the box on that form and join my mailing list, where you will be sent a free download of social media tips. And you'll be on my mailing list, so you'll get loads of cool stuff sent to you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back next week.